Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 28 of Shrigleytube TV. I've got some good stuff tonight. We've got the 1120 running, which is brilliant, and it's superseded all my expectations. It's really good. The head's working well. Everything's working as it should do. So we've got a bit of video footage. We've not finished with it yet, but you'll understand why when you watch the video. Now, just to remind you, in case you've forgotten, 22nd or 23rd, 24th and 25th of February, we're at Stoneleaf for the Race Retro Show. We've got an indoor stand there in Hall 3, so if you want a t-shirt or you want to come and say hello, please come over and say hello there. It'd be great to see you. And put a name or a face to the comments that I get. Anyway, I was going to ask your guys' help on something. Obviously, when you watch the video of my dyno and the imp engine, the one with the small pins on the crank, you'll be like, ooh, yeah, it's a bit... I'm a bit nervous, you know. I don't like to. I only went to 7,500 RPM. Now, obviously, I'm not educated enough in the specialist area of stresses and strains, etc. I was just trying to keep it safe. Now, if any of you guys out there are clever enough to be able to do some sort of calculation, the crankshaft is made out of EN9T, right? I've reduced the pin diameter on the big end from 41.25 to 36 mil. So there'll be a percentage there, obviously. But as a trade-off, I know that'll obviously weaken the crankshaft. As a trade-off, I have also put the motorbike piston and rod, which has a combined weight of 520 grams, whereas my lightest combo with the steel rod and the other type of piston for an imp is like 700 grams. So we have got 180 grams saving there in the reciprocating mass, or whatever you want to call it. I know half of it goes round and half it goes up and down, but anyway, if anyone can give me an idea of what you think it'll be safe to, these things run to 8,500 all season, no worry at all, with the with the 700 gram piston and rod combination on a full size pin, you know, on a 41.25 inch and 5/8 pin. Obviously, we've reduced that now to 36 mil to get the motorcycle piston rod on. Anyway, if you're new to the program, you're thinking, what on earth is this crank on about? Forget all that. I hope you enjoy what you see. Got loads going on. I'll list it in the title. I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday. Have a great week. Okay, YouTubers, it's Wednesday evening. Just had a job go out the door, which was nice. Another one's come in the door. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to make a start on this head in a minute with you guys, but this is my 1120 with the crankshaft that we machined together on the lathe to make it a small pin motorcycle suitable crank. So it's 1120cc. We're going to get that on the dyno tonight and get a tune out of it. I've just got to strip this first, but I thought we'd go through it because it's got a little bit of relevance as to what we've been talking about with regards to the supports that Ian Carter puts in the cylinder heads. Remember the grub screws that bridge the gap between the chamber and the exhaust port floor. So, just a bit of background. This engine's just come in today. Chaps bought it in a car in a clan. It's about 10 years since it was built by another engine builder, and he's basically got water in the oil and it's misfiring and being a bit naughty. So he said, I didn't really want to mess with it. I'm a Ford man. Can you have a look at it and see what you think? So I said, yeah, we'll pull the head off it and see. So I pulled the head off and the wheel strings had gone bad on it, basically. But the head's had quite a lot of material removed off it. If you look, you can tell by this thickness. Now, normally the heads are skimmed on a wedge, so this end's thick and this end is very thin, and they do that to reduce the depth of the chamber so as we can get the compression ratio up. Also, it keeps the valve seat away from the edge there. And another trade-off is that, of course, it makes the angle of the inlet port steeper, which helps it to turn the corner, the air. Anyway, that's all irrelevant. What I wanted to talk about was the wheel string has failed particularly badly around this area. Now, Ian Carter, as we've shown you many times before, fits a grub screw. He just drills and taps it here, puts a grub screw in, and that supports that part of the chamber. It basically bridges the gap. I'll try and get a torch now. You'll see the gap I'm talking about. It's just really thin, the casting. You think how thick the wheel string is and how much pressure it takes to compress it. That's a really delicate part of the head. So if we get a straight edge, I'll try and set this up so you can see. we get a straight edge and put it across the face like that. That didn't work, did it? So put that like that, and then if we can set the torch up so we've got some light bouncing off it, maybe you guys will be able to see. Let's zoom in there, how the head, can't just quite see. Let's just set that up like that. Oh, that's good, that might do it. There we go, look at that. So can you see the ruler, the straight edge is touching the combustion chamber and the outside, but we can see a big bit of daylight where the casting has basically just sank away here, and that's because it's not supported properly. So we'll get this on the miller next. We're going to strip it, take all the studs out of it, valves out of it, etc. I've had a look over the engine, it doesn't look bad apart from the chain tension is dismembered, so we'll have to sort that out. So we'll strip it, get it on the miller, we'll skim it, do the wheel rings, and we'll I'll do a minimum lick and we'll see if we can get a bit of a witness to see where it sank, to give you a better idea. Okay, so we've got the head now on the milling machine, and I've been across him and given him a minimum skim, just so that we could, I'm going to take a bit more. I'll just show you the depth roughly on the here. At the shallowest point is 60 thou still, so we want 58, so really I could do with another 5 thou off, so I've got something to clean up. But the point of this little video is to show you, you can see where the head has sank away, just there and there. So I'll get the wheels rings, I'll get the face skimmed a bit further, and then we'll redo the wheels rings, and then we'll revisit this when it's about to go back on the engine. Now I'm a little bit excited at the moment because I thought together we could do this. I've been bolting me 1120 on the dyno with the motorcycle piston and rods in it, and it's all ready to go, I think. So we've got the downdraft head. I've left this off. I just like to get a bit of a witness so I can see that the oil's coming up through the cam carrier, etc. when I first start them up. I have turned it over and got oil pressure, so the oil pressure's primed. We just got to put the, oh god, I've not put the fuel pipe on. Right, hang on, I'll pause this 1 second. Okay, we've got the fuel pipe on now, so all I've got to do is turn the ignition on, let the pump prime, and then we'll wind it over together and see if we get a tune out of it. Very exciting. Let's have a look inside here, see if it's squirting. Of course I can't see, can I, because there's no camera, light on the camera. Oh, there's the pump. That's finished priming. Can't actually see. Imagine it's got a fair bit of fuel hanging around there now, so we'll just wind it over. I'll just hold the camera and throttle it at the same time. Oh, she's gonna go. Could have been a first kick at that. It's alive! No clicks and clonks either. Sounds like it's all going round quite sweetly. Excellent. I'll get some water in it now, and then we'll warm it up together in a minute. Right chaps, I'm just stood behind the dyno door because it's a bit noisy in there with the fans on. I've got to say I'm really happy with the 1120. It picks up lovely. I think it's going to be strong. I can't dyno it tonight because I'm in a residential area, so I have to wait till tomorrow, but we'll give it a little blip now, and hopefully you'll see where I'm coming from. Bit of a disaster at Shrigley HQ this morning. We've got no water. It's like minus 6 degrees outside, and I can't steam a head off that I need to use to build because the steam is frozen. So, and we've got no water to the unit either. So I'm itching to get stuck into this and run it again. I have let it warm up a few times just so everyone make friends inside, but I can't because I'm not supposed to work on my own stuff till 4 o'clock after we've done the customer work. So Through here, let's just give you an update of what we've been up to. Shauno's finished stripping just about every engine in the workshop. So I've been boring a block for a customer, gonna hone that next, and then he's made me a big pile of imp engines for in the cleaning pot. They're all getting the acid ready to get degreased, and then we can blast them. And then what's going on here, Shaunus? Are we an engineer now?
Oh, just a bit, mate.
Wow, you come a long way. You came here 3 days ago as an engine stripper, and now you're machining bearings on the lathe.
Nice,
that you cleaned. Excellent. So well, hopefully we'll get a video of the engine running in a bit when it's gone past 4 o'clock. Okay chaps, this is it. We're on the dyno now with the motorbike piston engine and rods from the Honda CBR. So I'm really overexcited, and yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's over my wildest dreams. The performance it's given is really good. I'm not quite sure why. Obviously it's 1120cc, so it has got a good capacity because we put that extra stroke into the crank, thanks to the suggestion by the YouTube commenter. And also we've got a very light combination of rod and piston, which I think is helping it to hang on, to be honest. I don't know whether the lack of weight reduces the side loads or what, or bearing load or whatever, but this head and cam has never ever worked this well on any engine. I've had it on 998s, 1040s, 1200s. I could never get this head to work properly, or how I wanted it to. But in this particular setup, it's got torque at the bottom. It's got good torque at like 4 and 4.5, and then at 5.5 it goes again. And I'm just like, the only thing I'm nervous of is the fact that because it's on this shrunken pin down to 36mm diameter crank pin on a standard in crank, I'm just nervous of the stresses and the crankshaft failing, which is why I said, like I said before, I wouldn't do it for a customer. But I've been to 7. It's just mega. At 7 I'm seeing 95 foot-pound of torque, and yeah, I've been messing about with the fueling. I've been on the it will run a bit more advanced, but I've knocked a bit out of it just to make it safe. So although it's doing more power, I could see it starting to breathe a bit, so I thought we'll just pull a little bit back out. So we're right up there. We'll do a bit of a run together, see what you guys think. Now what I'm going to do is, it's quite fruity. Got a right up bar on it. What I'm going to do is I'll zoom in so that my friends on YouTube that like to see the numbers can hopefully just bend that. Oh, that's not working, is it? That's not working. Oh, I see what that now. There we go. Right, so hopefully now straighten that up. Something loose here. A bit hard. We've got a loose. That's better. Right. A bit more. Okay, we'll start off at the bottom, and I have been seeing down here at like 5 or 4,000 let the dyno grab it. When I say let the dyno grab it, by the way, for the people that I did get a question the other day, it's controlled by water flow, so the amount of water that goes through the dyno determines where it won't let the engine push past. So at the moment it's going to grab it at 4,000. If I reduce the amount of water going through it, so we're holding a steady 50, so about 80 foot-pound of torque there at 4,000. So make it a real nice. This will be good out the corners. This. When it gets to 5.5, it goes again. The dyno off, reduce the water so it can push past basically and use more RPM. So it gets to 5. No, I'll just back it off now. When it gets to 5.5, it goes again. Look at that. That's a good boost, isn't it? So 7,000. Oh, went to 7.5 there. Didn't really want to go too high, but we were seeing it wasn't falling off massively, was it? At 7.5, I think it was still doing 90 odd foot-pounds. And get a static one. So 7,000 there. It's holding a good 95 foot-pound of torque. Okay. 135 horsepower. Well, it's not got 135 horsepower, that's a dyno overreading, but I bet it's got a good 125 horsepower, this. So we'll have a little walk around if we like. We'll just see how he's faring up. Ouch. Right, we're just having another little run together because I heard it going off and I did suspect it didn't have quite enough advance in it. So I've just put a cheeky 3 degrees in it to see if we can get away with it. We'll keep an eye out on it for breathing, etc. Keep it to 7.5 for today. After we've had it in the car for a bit, we'll creep it up. But yeah, I'm hoping this little bit of advance, we might see the magic 19, which will be 100 foot-pound on the dyno. I don't believe it's got that. The dyno does overread a little bit, especially the higher up we go. Oh, it's well fruity with the advance in it. Right, let's load it up. See what we're saying at about 5 first. See what it's like. 16 at 5. That's 85 foot-pound. It's actually a little bit lower than it was before. We have seen more than that there. See what it's like at the top. Brilliant. Right, well, it's definitely showing signs of being good, and it's not even got any expense in it either, which is the best thing about it. So we'll just have to see how it carries on in the rest of its life. Okay chaps, I've been getting brave. I've been in, I put another smidge of advance in. I've also pulled some fuel out, which isn't like me, but I thought, well, we should be able to control it in here. It's not got mega high compression, it's only a 12-to-1 engine, so it's not likely to eat itself alive in a millisecond like some of my other engines are capable of doing. So I've just been creeping up on it. It's so nice, it's such a strong donkey this. So 5,000 now, we're seeing about 86 foot-pound mega. We'll let it go, see how it goes. 18.5, so we're not going for 98 and 6. It's got a funny noise. What is that noise? Is it my mole grips vibrating? I think my mole grips are making a funny vibration noise on the exhaust. You can see them in this corner down there. I'm just going to remove them because it's putting me off. It feels like something's changed. It's making me nervous. Tell you what, we'll do an open pipe. That's what we'll do. We'll run it with no silencer on, or with no collector to the big silencer, and we'll see how it sounds together because it's crisp this. Right, okay, we've got the silencer off now, so we'll give him another run together. We won't bother with the it's crisp. See how it affects the power. So it's still 16.5 and 7,000. I actually think he prefers it without the advance. Right, we'll have another go. Right, okay, I just pulled a little bit of advance back out. I wasn't sure it helped it, so we'll play it on the safe side. See if it's helped the power. Oh yeah, look at that. 99 and 6. the scrap crank on the lathe and a head that's been hanging around for years. Remarkable. Due to situation at work with the water being frozen, I had to bring my work home. Luckily the wife's at Aero Mix, so I don't reckon she'd cope with this too well. I'll just tell them to do the pot pipe. Yeah, just make a nice job of this, then we can get it built tomorrow. Because obviously can't clean it when there's no water in the workshop. Right, let's hope I don't get caught. Right, morning Mr. Shaughnessy, you alright? Fresh enough for you. Now listen, me and the missus last night had a bit of a chat, and I was telling her how well you were doing at work with helping out and everything.
Only took me 25 years.
Oh, fair play. So what we've done is, we've got this for you. Just lift it very carefully.
Is it alive?
Oh, what? What do you mean, is it alive?
Oh God, no.
Oh mate, he's having his breakfast. Look. Hello Mr. Ratty. How's that going? I've put some bran flakes there for breakfast. You meant to jump.
What's his name?
We're going to call him Mr. Impy Rat. Can we keep him as a permanent pet?
No.
Right, should we go and let him out in the canal?
Yeah.
Hey mate, you're going to be on YouTube. Yeah. Give us a smile. Oh, he's a fine specimen, isn't he? Eat your bran flakes. No digestive system. Right, little Ratty. What we're going to do is let you out. I want you to run after Shauno, yeah?
No.
And chase him down the canal, okay? You go, little guy. Oh, he's happy in there. Look, straight out of his pals. Right, just doing a little update on where we're up to with the customer that dropped the 998 off with the leaking Welsh ring. Given that a bit of a clean up, all liners seem level, no problems there. This is the head that we skimmed and redid the Welsh rings on. So I've remachined all the grooves, and if you look, you'll see there's now a grub screw that bridges the load between this face here and the floor of the exhaust port. So hopefully, well, it won't be an issue now. It'll all compress the wheel string uniformly and all work correctly. Now, the point of this little video was I wanted to talk about the valve train on the Hillman. It's a standard imp valve train, this, but it has got an R17 cam. And it's not my build, it's someone else's, but something that's always worth checking is the way that I mean, this system is superbly reliable, don't get me wrong. It doesn't have many flaws, but one flaw it does have: if the shim gets too thin, you imagine the load is transferred from the bucket into the shim, and it touches on the top. If you see, if I just get a little screw out the top of the valve there. So the valve is pushed open by its little top of its stem via the shim. Now, if for any reason the shim becomes thin because it had valve seat recession or whatever, and the shim ends up sitting low of this edge around the outside here, see this diameter here, then what can happen is we get a situation where the bucket pushes on the valve cap rather than the shim, and then that releases the collets ever so slightly, and it all starts rattling. And once the collets start releasing, it makes the collets wear, which actually makes the situation even worse, because then the bucket, the valve cap comes further up, and then it pushes even more on the valve cap, and eventually it'll drop a valve. I have learnt this the hard way many moons ago. I've just got a sample follower here, which is one that if you ever take your cam cover, your cam carrier off and see this shiny ring here, see that ring, that is the example of where the top of the valve cap has been operating the valve spring rather than the shim pushing on this area here in the middle. So just something to look out for, chaps, if you're servicing your Hillman or you're building it. It's much the reason I've done this is it's dead easy to deal with at this stage, because if I see a shim that doesn't sit proud, I'll just take the valve cap off and machine 10th thou off it or whatever, so that the shim is proud again. But all these are fine, so we're going to go ahead and build it. So just going to put that together and we'll get a tune out of that. And because I said to the bloke, look, you know, we'll run it on a dyno, make sure it's right for you before you go to the trouble of putting it back in the car. Something a bit more exciting over here just came through the door, and that is a new radiator. Now, we've always struggled with the Hillman's cooling for years. We've had big radiators in the front, pipes everywhere, pumps everywhere, swirl pots everywhere, and getting them to run at the target temperature is really hard. So I thought we'd try a new angle. I thought, why not? I'll be honest with you, it's all down to the minis, this. I watched the minis go around Goodwood with 135 horsepower Swift-tune motors in them, with a radiator the size of a postage stamp stuck on the end of the engine with a little fan, and they don't have any cooling issues. And I just think, what are we missing with the Hillman? There's got to be a trick we're missing. It's got to be able to be made to work. So I thought we'd start by getting a radiator made with some decent sized pipes on the end, so we've got decent water flow. And this is like a competition core. It's quite thick, as you can see. So we're going to give this a whirl, and as it's just arrived now, I thought what we might do is rig up a fan on the end of the 1120 it's on the dyno, and this rad, and try and get a tune out of it. Because if I close the doors on the dyno cell, I can replicate a hot day by bringing the ambient temperature of the cell, the dyno cell, up to like 30 degrees, and then we'll run it flat out so it's blowing the air through it that's already at 30 degrees, you know, so because that's the true test, is a hot day, you know, and we'll see if we can keep it cool, wide open throttle. So I'm going to see if we can get time to do that tomorrow. I've got some work to get out the door. If we can get this done, rigged up, that'd be great. We'll get it on for Sunday night. Guess what day it is today, Shaunus?
I know what day it is. Full Fat Friday.
Full Fat Friday. Because you've worked so hard, mate. I'm going to take you to the best kebab house in Charlton.
Where are we going, mate?
We're going for a shawarma.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even pronounce it. Are you excited?
Shawarma.
Yeah, that's it. How's the bearing department going? All right? 749. You're 5 hour off there, mate.
That's 5 hour out.
Oh, dearie me. Can't beat the what's it called, this place? A shawarma at the post office.
Post office shawarma, yeah.
Mate, absolutely mint. How's that look?
9 out of 10.
Mine's belting. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Excellent. Enjoy. Okay, YouTubers, just having a bit of a weigh up of this new radiator I've got for the Hillman, and I thought what we'll do is we'll use an electric fan to cool the radiator, the new aluminium radiator. So I've wired this up to my jump pack, and I've got to be honest, the waft it gives, it just is not going to take 100 horsepower heat energy out of a radiator, not a chance. So I thought, you know what, it'd be really good if we could use as many of the original Hillman parts as possible to try and make this work. So I thought what we'll do is we'll run it on the mechanical fan, and then what we'll do is we can take the belt off and then go back to the same load point, providing we've got plenty of temperature out of the engine to do so, and do a back-to-back, and we can get an exact idea then of how much energy the fan uses by draining it on the when it's running on the dyno. So if it's like 3 horsepower, then I think we'll leave it on a mechanical fan. By the time we've put some decent electric fans on it and a big alternator and all the rest of it and all the relays and the wiring to go with it, it might just be simpler and better if we can make this work to do it this way. Anyway, the point is, this is the flange that goes on the end of the water pump. So this is a standard Hillman water pump assembly. That's the bit you see from the front normally. And then obviously this goes up to another rubber like concertinaed hose, big one, and then in the radiator sits here alongside the engine. So normally it has this fan on it. Now this is a standard imp fan, and it blows the air this way. So it sucks it from the engine bay and blows it through the radiator onto the floor down below. But what I want to try and do, and I have been doing a bit, I will be honest, I have researched this already, and I have already done some tests with one of my customers on his rally car. This is a mini fan. Now the mini fan works slightly different. If you look, you'll notice like one's right-handed and one's left-handed. So what the mini fan does is the mini fan draws the air from underneath, from behind the radiator, and it'll blow it out of the front into the engine bay. So it's sucking from underneath the car and blows out of the engine bay like that. Obviously I've got to trim it a little bit to get it to fit, but before I trim it, I'll get it set up in the lathe. I'll trim it in the lathe so it's all true. What I need to do is make a boss. So I found this here. It's just an old lump of alley that's been used for God knows what. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this in the lathe. I'll make a spigot with it so it sits nicely in there, and then what we'll do is we'll do the same on the reverse end, and we'll bolt it on here, and that'll give us an adapter so I can run this fan inside here. And then I think also what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this V-belt job because it's old hat, and I found this old vibration damper. Just by chance I sort of tripped over it. It's off a Vauxhall engine, and I thought, you know what, I put these on the big engines years ago. I put one, that's the one on Benoy's engine, you might remember from the video we stripped down the engine on Tuesday night. I think it'd be a good thing to run a damper for that little crankshaft with its little big end pins on the dyno. So I'm going to make an adapter to fit this, and then also make another, because this is what they call a poly V. A lot more energy can be transmitted through this. So we'll also put a poly V on the front pulley, and then we'll get it all bolted up. And I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but I will. It's like 4 o'clock on Friday now. I'm trying to get this boss machined, but tomorrow morning I'll come in and I'll get stuck into it, and we'll see where we get up to before Sunday night's video. Okay, good morning YouTubers, it's Saturday morning. I've just made myself a little boss to hold the fan onto the Hillman water pump drive plate, or drive boss we'll call it. Now using my laptop computer, I was able to select a mere serial spec, excuse me, and then do a CAD CAM profile, fire it over to the CNC lathe, and fire this out. I've got a video of it if you want to see it, it'll be on next. So what I did was basically I turned this first and I put an index on there because I'm just going to be hand drilling and tapping all this. I need it to run true. So I've turned a little index in there. Hang on, that goes in there nice and stiff. And then I've done the same on the front face. I've turned a little boss on there so that the whole thing will run concentric to the shaft in the middle. So all I've got to do now is drill and tap all the holes. I'm just going to do some quarter UNF bolts for that, and then for the back side we need to do some 5/16. Can't get this off now, can I? But anyway, they're 5/16 UNF there, so we'll just drill holes and put counter sunk cap heads in it, and then we're ready to go. Then bolt that on, and we've still got some pulley work to do, but well, for next I'll put the video on of me making the boss. Okay, just a little update on the drive boss. I've now bolted it using the 5/16 UNF cap heads to the steel boss that was the original one on the imp water pump. And then now all I've got to do is place this on here. This is the mini fan. Obviously you've got to line the holes up, push them over the index there, and the whole thing goes round nicely. So that's a good result. That we'll get the bolts in there, and then we'll have to have a bit of a clean up and work out how we're going to do the front pulley. I've not even thought about that yet. We'll have some dinner now. I've also, this was the Vauxhall damper that I wanted to put with the poly V belt so we could transmit more load through to the fan. I was just concerned that it might slip at high RPM with the V belt. So we're going to use the poly V belt, and this is an imp pulley, which you'll see in the video next. Is I just machined it down from a standard imp pulley. So I've turned that so that index is in there nicely, and then all I've got to do now is drill and tap it, and that'll be that attached to that. So that's all good. So one last bit, you might think, what's he playing at? But that's my front pulley bolt, and I just took some weight out of it because, believe it or not, when you're building a fast imp, it's the little differences that add up to make a big difference. And everything, if you apply that theory to everything you touch when you're building a race car, you won't go far wrong. Right, we'll have some dinner, and then we're going to crack on and do the front pulley for the water pump with the poly V. Okay, chaps, there's defeat in my voice, I'm afraid. The job's not going to happen. I've had a rethink. I've done my front pulley, and I was about to go and fit it, and I thought, you know what, if I undo the front pulley bolt, because you've got three little sprocket. We've got the front pulley, you've got the gear that drives the chain, and the gear that drives the oil pump, and they're all on keyways on the front pulley. But as soon as you release this bolt, because they're not interfere, obviously they've got a tiny bit of play in them, it'll knock the cam timing out on the engine. It might only be 5 foul on the keyway, but magnified, it could put the engine in danger of failure. So that's going to be a few hours work in itself, just fitting the front pulley, because we'll obviously have to reset the cam timing, or at least check it. So I thought, that's going to take me till 4 o'clock, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, you've selected some scruffy old oil water pump. It's bound to leak and bound to have bearing failure as soon as you run it. So stop rushing it, take a step back. It was all going a bit too fast anyway. I want to have a think about what I'm doing. So I can't, unfortunately, proceed with this. This engine's going to have to come off a dyno now, the 1120, because we've got a job that's got to be out next week by Thursday. We've got Champagne Chris coming to collect it. So I'll have to make sure that's done. So it'll be a pause, but we will plod on. I'll get all this blasted and we'll make it all tidy, get a new pump, put all this on properly with Loctite. We'll get a nice race alternator, another poly V pulley, etc. We'll make it all nice, and then we'll put it all back on. It might be a couple of weeks before we get back to it, but when we get back to it, we'll do it properly. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. I will look forward to seeing you all next Sunday.